to be removed.
Yeah. No, like 5 years ago, I'd sit here and just be like, I need to smoke like 3 to 5 bowls right now.
Yeah.
And like now, it's like, I'll pack a bowl, I'll hit it once, I'll put it down, and I'll forget about it.
Yeah, that's the best though. That means you're where you want to be, where you're supposed to be, you know. And then it has the wonderful like advantage of when you see it again, you're just like, oh my god, free! It's free. When you forget it because you enjoyed it so much, and then you remember that the other half is still there, you're like, I just like magically made extra for free out of thin air.
I mean, you've heard me on Discord before. I'll just sit there and pick up my bong and I'll be like, "That's packed. I'm so good to me.
Yeah, left yourself a present.
I'm so good to me. What the
I miss
fuck?"
that. I don't get that now because I don't sit and smoke here at my desk. But when I used to,
No,
that
you know
would
what's
that would be the
amazing?
thing.
I have a prototype. It's a I don't know. If you don't know what a prototype is, Google it, I guess. It's like the OG, like all-in-one, like pipe, you
Yeah,
know?
single piece of glass.
And I was like, does this need to be cleaned or anything? Because I think it was cleaning stuff. And I opened it and it had a bowl packed, just like under the lid, like sitting there, just staying fresh, sealed up. And then I was like, no way. And then I looked at the little storage area and it's full. And I'm like, you mean to tell me, past me, cleaned this pipe out, filled it to the brim, ready to go for some travel situation. And now,
Yeah,
like, in an emergency, I've got like 5 or 6 bowls of weed just ready to rapid fire whenever I need it.
that's amazing.
It's so good. I love that. Like, I will do that. I like hide weed from myself. I still have like a gram or I think a gram of banana conda just sitting around,
Nice. As a gardener, you
just
find
waiting
like a
for a
lot
rainy
of
day.
shit. My mate finds stuff all the time. Like it literally like a week ago, he messaged me. He was like, "Dude, I was on shift, like doing the site. Just as I was about to, he was like, I stopped and I went over somewhere. I was gonna sit and just like smoke a cigarette or whatever before I left the site. So he goes over to like the side of wherever he was, and there's some shrubs and a bit of grass and like a tree. And at the bottom of the tree, there's a full set. I'm talking tin, grinder, weed, everything there. There was shit ground up, ready to go. There was all the papers and roach that you would need to roll up with, and then there was more stuff like sitting in a bag, and it was all just like in a plastic carrier bag. And it's because it's like close to a school, and it's like around here, like everybody does it, you know what I mean? So like one of the school
Yeah.
kids has got all of his shit together, prepped it as much as they possibly can, stuck it in a bag, chucked it over there in like the shrubs so that they can come straight out of school and go and get it. And at the end of his shift, he found all of it. He just scooped it up, took it straight back to the van, chucked it in his bag. He was just like, "Let's go."
I was watching this thing. I saw this thing and it was like this guy, who makes like noise music, you know what I mean? And it's like this. He's got his whole set in a suitcase, and he just puts the suitcase up on the table, unzips it. Now the processor and all the cables and a bunch of pedals are in the deep part, and the shallow part has a bunch of like effects processors in there, so he can make all the beep boop noises. Like, and I was just like, that's sick. You just got your whole thing
In a
in
case.
like in a suitcase. You just travel anywhere, load it up, and then unpack, and here it is. I just need a power cord.
Yeah, that's sick. Never stop
I,
creating.
I love kits. I'm obsessed with kits. I will put together kits, you know what I mean? Like I have a little small tool pouch that I basically just converted into like a full set of custom tools for working on small electronics, tablets, phones, things like that. I've got the screen pullers, the spudgers, the precision screwdrivers with different bits, little Torx bits, and the weird wingtips and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I love all-in-one kits. I made a necklace out of bullet shells that like holds a pipe made out of bullet shells and then like more weed and they're just little capsules made out of bullets that press fit together. And I got the idea for it from the prototype because it's like all brass and this is all brass and it was inspired by that and the necklaces that the boomers wear in Fallout New Vegas. That was my inspiration for building it, and I still have it to this day. It's so cool.
Yeah, that's
When I
sick.
came to the state, I had that around my neck, and I just had like weed at every bus station I went to, every like truck stop. I just get off the bus, go around the corner a little bit, take a couple rips, come back, good to go. It was actually funny. There was a layover in, I think it was Kansas City, Kansas, and you know, Amish country. And there was
Right.
this guy who I could tell he was on a lot of drugs. And I'm just in a good mood, right? I'm just like, hey man, you want to smoke a bowl? And he's like, you got weed? I'm just like, maybe. You know, and he's like, oh, where you want to go? And I'm like, no one's around there, man. Oh, we could just smoke in the bathroom. Nah, you're dumb. Follow me. If you want to do this, you go where I go. And like, you can tell he's just on something and he's talking. And then out of nowhere, there's this, we're inside and there's this Amish dude like hanging out near the bathrooms. Like one of us had to pee or something. And he's sitting there talking to the Irish dude, or the Amish dude, sorry. And he's like, do you guys smoke weed out there? And he's like, what? He's like, you know, weed, like marijuana, cannabis. And he's like, oh, no, we don't imbibe.
We do
And
not
it's
do that.
like, this guy kept trying to talk to this Amish dude, like about drugs and stuff. And the Amish dude's just like, he's so polite, you know, and he's just like, I don't know what you're on about, mate.
Yeah, literally. That's so funny. Amish
It's
people
so
are so
good.
interesting.
You know, there was a bus stop. It was in the middle of nowhere on a Greyhound route, and some people got off. This one person got off. Real tall, young kid, you know, all black with a big brim hat, gets off, and I'm just kind of like dozing a bit. I'm kind of like listening to music, and the lights are off, and I just happen to look out the window, and there's this horse-drawn carriage. It's like a, you know, an Amish, old Amish dude driving this carriage with like two lanterns in the front for headlights because it's dark. You know what I mean? And I'm like, that's so sick. And
Wow.
I'm just guessing it's him coming back to the community after some time away because they do that when they're 16 or
I
something.
actually heard something interesting the other day on that topic, and I suppose now it may vary state from state, but I know that in the state that they were in when the guy was saying it, at least there by law, the horse-drawn carriages that the Amish people use have to have an electric engine inside them, specifically to power like the headlamps and stuff like that. Because if they don't, then legally they're not roadworthy. So the Amish people, at least in that state, and so probably in some other states as well, they do have like horse-drawn carriages and stuff, but they're not allowed to use them on the roads unless there is like a small electric engine. They were told they have to have an engine, so they use like electric
Wow.
engines in there to power, like, because specifically the headlights, like you are not allowed to drive without like powered headlights.
Being legislated into modern conformity. Actually, it depends, right? The level of technology use amongst the Amish depends on
Yeah, there's
which
two different kinds of
community you
Amish.
live in.
Yeah, they're
Like,
not
there's
just
some that
community,
reject
there's
all technology,
yeah.
and there's some that will embrace some electric.
That's that I was about to say, but that's not even like a regional thing so much as that is there are quite literally two different kinds of Amish, and I can't remember what the other one's called, but this guy was one of those other ones where it's like they're not fully, like they don't fully reject like all this stuff that, you know, they will use like certain
Yeah, they're not
things.
complete Luddites. Yeah.
But generally speaking, yeah. So that's probably why their community was like okay with adopting the electric engine, but whether they like it or not in their state, that wouldn't have been allowed otherwise. So probably like that more traditional Amish would not be in a state
Yeah.
like that, you know what I mean? Because they refuse to
Yeah.
adopt. But it's, yes, super weird. And
Out,
the thing is,
out
like,
here, we don't really have Amish out here where I live. Instead, we have Mennonites, and
that's what they are, Mennonite, yeah.
all I can really say is like the smallpox outbreaks that have been happening like across Texas and stuff like that. It's not just anti-vaxxers; it's also Mennonite communities.
Right.
They're wild about that.
Well, that
Actually,
none of it makes sense, but it's expected from like a Mennonite society.
fun fact, actually, it just popped in my head because I used the word. The term Luddite, even though we kind of use it a bit derogatory, its origin is actually very positive because it comes around a time when factory owners were automating the factories, right? And it's not that they were against machines, they were against machines that didn't require a human operator, right? So the Luddites were an organization of workers, basically, like if the boss is like, okay, we're replacing these machines, we're gonna automate stuff, so we're gonna, have less people working here, basically.
Yeah.
What they would do is like they'd either threaten the boss or they'd sabotage the machines so that they had to have the workers there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is like really cool, actually.
Yeah, because that's definitely been abstracted over the years, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, history is written by the victors, so of course, if you get your news from a capitalist, they're going to tell you that people fighting on behalf of workers are actually the bad guy. But like, yeah. No, it's fascinating. It's really fascinating to me. The Luddites were actually a really cool bunch of people.
I wonder how many
Very
Amish
active,
people know
very
that.
direct act.
Like, if they know, if they're taught as Amish children about the like roots of their way of life, or how. The question is like, how do you think they're taught? Not whether they're taught the truth, because they're going to be taught some version, but like, how extracted from the truth do you think that is? Like, I wonder what they learn.
That's actually a fascinating question. I'd like to know the answer to that too.
Yeah, right.
Every society indoctrinates itself in some way. There's always the propaganda of like the modern time, the zeitgeist,
Yeah. Self acceptance within your own community is like, if you think about it, that's going to be like the individual's desire to be accepted within their community is such a like a driving factor. So it doesn't necessarily matter whether the intentions of the community as a whole or at its source are good or not. If the individual within the community is willing to do anything to be accepted by their peers, like that's a dangerous thing in and of itself. Not least because it's like disingenuous, like, are these people your allies, or do they say that they're your allies so that you'll accept them?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for
I guess
sure.
truth is a concept. It's not. At some point, I feel like you have to accept that for whatever reason, which could be debated to the ends of time, people just don't want to tell the truth. It feels uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It feels weird. It's like you're taking away all your defensive layers by telling somebody the truth.
The truth is very vulnerable, right? This is why a lot of people can't be honest with themselves, like we were talking about before, right? And this is like, and I mean, it's something I think about a lot just because, I'm trans. And to be trans, you have to do a lot of self-reflecting. You have to get real honest with yourself about a lot of things real quick. And like a lot of people don't do that. And that's why for like some trans people, it takes a long time for the egg to crack because we don't want to do that.
Yeah, well, that's
That's
it.
difficult.
That's playing
Like
into the thing that is the difficult
truth
thing.
is truth is vulnerability. Also, there's a bit of sunk cost fallacy going on as well, where you've been so invested in a version of the truth that you believed, and then having to accept the actual truth means that now not only do you have to change, but you have to accept that you were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And most people do not want to admit that they were wrong.
Yeah. Some people will see that they were wrong, that's the thing, which means they have the ability to recognize the untruth of their action. Not just the untruth of their actions, they have the propensity to have their mind opened up by logic, you know what I mean? Which
Mm-hmm.
makes it even more reprehensible for that same individual to recognize that that's what happened and be so embarrassed by the concept, so determined to not have somebody else see them as inferior for making a mistake, that they will just double down on it instead. And from that point forward, they go from being somebody that can be reasoned with to somebody who cannot be reasoned with.
Mm. Can I say just how like happy I am to be right here right now? Cause like when I start talking that real stuff like I'm doing right now, like on my channel or like someone else's channel,